All right, good evening, everybody. I'd like to welcome everybody to the August 12th, 2026 Board of Elections meeting. Hereby call the meeting to order. Can we all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we have a short agenda this evening, but everybody have an opportunity to review the agenda. I'd like to make one addition to the agenda, if I could, and we'll put it after staff reports, a discussion regarding upcoming meetings for the rest of the year, including election day meetings and those types of things. So it's just a discussion, it's not an action item.
Okay.
So with the addition on a discussion of upcoming meetings, I have a motion to approve.
So moved.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
On to approval of the minutes. We all have a copy of the July 14th, 2026 meeting minutes. This was sent by staff, obviously, prior to today. Has everybody had an opportunity to review those minutes?
Yes.
Is there any additions, deletions, or corrections to the minutes?
No.
Hearing none, may I please have a motion to approve the July 14th, 2026 meeting minutes?
So moved.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right. Public comments. We have two very nice ladies here. Is there any public comment that either one would like to make tonight?
No, thank you for the nice lady comment.
Well, thank you for attending. We appreciate it. All right, moving on to staff reports. Director Holloway.
Yes, first I'll start with the budget update for FY27, which began on July 1st. Our chair reached out to the county manager questioning about the budget cuts that the elections section of our budget had received, which was $200,000. So by email on August 3rd, the county manager replied, and in his email, where he refers to the board, just the board only, that's referring to the Board of County Commissioners. So I'll read you a portion of this. His response was, the change to the Board of Elections budget was made on June 10th, and the board adopted the budget ordinance on June 16th. Keep in mind that the budget ordinance is a broader document and does not reflect the level of detail in the budget book. The board was made aware of the changes to the Board of Elections budget prior to their adoption of the budget ordinance on June 16th. And also, he says he understands our concerns over the funding needs, and that if we're unable to meet the operational needs of the department with the budget provided, we will work to meet the needs.
Questions or comments on that response from county manager?
I think we were very clear in our budget, so I think it needs to be reinstated. That's my opinion.
Well, and we're looking at, the $200,000, $100,000 comes out of early voting and election day proceeds, which, we have a lot of individuals who are manning these stations, a lot of overtime for staff, a lot of printing, a lot of the other things. So, it still raises a concern for me that now we're gonna have to go back hand in hand to try to meet our needs with that.
And what we're doing, we're going ahead and purchasing the items that we need. At this point, we requested the funds that we estimated. We didn't receive those funds, so as we spend for this election, when we approach those maximums, we'll go back at that time and ask for additional funding. And when Juanita goes in her budget, she'll tell you what she's added to the reports to kind of indicate the funds that are encumbered moving forward. And Also, I gave you a copy of the line item transfer. The manager did agree to approve the reclassifications of 2 positions in January, which was halfway through this year. Those descriptions have been added to the pay grade for the county. The approval to be reclassed has not happened yet. I've submitted those documents, but again, he said he would approve them in December and then any salary change would be made in January. They did complete the line item transfer for purchase for the new vehicle that we needed, the truck to tow the emergency trailer. So the funding was transferred from our last year's budget in those part-time salaries for use in this year's budget to purchase the truck. However, the new contract comes out, I believe, in October, so that purchase will be delayed for a few more months as well.
How is maintenance of the truck paid for? Is that through our budget?
Yes. Yes, in the county garage, we take, the vehicle to the county garage for the regular maintenance. They were charged tax, tag, fuel, tires, any maintenance. Any other questions about the funding? Next, Caitlin Sirico completed her petition process to be a writing candidate for Board of Education District 3. I gave you a copy, well, actually, the original signature sheets that were submitted. Out of those, she was required to receive 100 signatures in that particular district of registered voters in that district to be certified to go on the ballot. Her name will not be on the ballot, actually, it will be just a line that's added. She's a write-in, so it only adds a line, and someone will still have to fill in the circle and write her name in for it to be counted.
So there's no indication to the voter of who that person is?
There is not.
They can vote for Kermit the Frog on that line, it just won't be counted.
Right. And we can, we plan after the chair's required to certify the petition. So after you certify, we did take her photo when she came in last to post on our social media to announce that.
Okay.
So we will do that, but it's really up to the candidate to make the voters in that district aware that she's qualified as that writing candidate.
So is there anything that a voter, other than that announcement, is there anything that a voter can do to go check their provisional ballot and would see that she is eligible on that? I know that's a state provisional ballot. They can get it through the state.
The ballot.
Or not provisional, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
the
Should we get,
sample ballot.
should we,
It would only be a line, that's all we would add, just like for soil and water. That contest is also eligible for write-ins, but you just have that blank line. So that's really up to the candidate or the party, community to make the voters aware of that. I mean, we'll announce it, but there's not a place for us to include it on a sample ballot. And the board, I know her name may be a little difficult to spell. So as far as the write-in, it's the board's discretion to determine if that name that's written in, if the voter intended it for her. Like if they write Caitlin S., the board can determine that's who that voter intended to vote for. So if there's any, there's a little.
It's still like SUR.
Yes. As long as, if the board says this is who they intended. When it says Jim Ross, that's not Caitlin. But the misspell, it doesn't have to be spelled exactly right for the board to determine that intent.
So does do you all bring every ballot that's, what you believe to be a valid write-in? Do you bring each one of those before the board?
The board, the report, our Hart Equipment does a photo of each write-in, and it prints a report so you can see the actual signature of, what the voter wrote on the ballot. So those are pulled out separately. You won't actually have to look at the ballot. You can, but you will be able to see the names that were written on those write-in lines.
Municipal election last year,
Yes, we
Yeah.
usually,
and had to go and collect them and count them.
yes,
You don't have to look at the physical ballot.
Right.
Unless, there's a reason to, but the report is, we go through there and actually select those names that are tied to her, and then I can print those out, and you can actually look at it and say, yes, this is, if there's any intent issue that you see, you can say yes or no. So it'll be a list of them for you, the physical, the actual name of the report.
I do have all the actual door-to-door write-ins if anybody wants to review the signatures.
so that's the original signature sheets, and then the report shows if the voter was approved, not approved, like if they were not registered, they're not counted. If they didn't live in the district, they're not counted toward that 100 votes.
You have those all in there?
So if the board doesn't see any issues,
No, it's
signature sheets,
a lot of work. Working hard to get all these names.
181, 126 were approved, so. These are just the original signatures.
So she had to have 100.
100,
How
yes.
many do we have?
126 were approved. Mhm. Questions?
Do I have to take a motion to approve? I think we're in agreement that we certify that Ms. Sirico has obtained the necessary petition signatures to be a write-in candidate for the November election. Hear any arguments, then I will certify the same. Thank you.
And on July 21st, the commissioners approved the special bond referendum. I gave you a copy of that resolution. That will be on the ballot in November, where the voters can decide yes or no for the bond order authorizing $200 billion general obligation jail bonds for Union County. Also gave you the official election notice. That includes all of the candidates for this November election, and the jail bond referendum language is on that last page. Now it's required to include the cost or increased property taxes for residents in the county. That's why that is included at the bottom. And there's also those 3 constitutional amendments on the ballot. We discussed that, I think, at the last meeting, to require photo ID for voting, maximum income tax rate of 3.5%, and a property tax levy limit. You have your candidates, your amendments, your bond there. And I sent notice by email on August 5th to the Republican and Democrat Party chairs. We're required to give at least a 21-day notice of the date of the meeting where we will appoint early voting officials. Our September meeting will do that. The party chairs have opportunity to recommend the judges for those early voting sites and assistants. We're required to have at least a chief judge and 2 party judges at all times, different parties, and they can recommend those voters. We gave the qualities and the requirements for early voting officials and what would disqualify them as well, if they're like a candidate or treasurer, etc. So they both have acknowledged receipt of those, so at the next meeting, we'll present those to the board. Staff has the flexibility to use those recommendations, but we can assign them to different sites wherever we feel it's best needed based on, staffing needs and the partisan balance. And we appointed several judges last time, so you have more than, say, 2 judges at a voting site, where if you have scheduling conflicts, you can pull someone else in. So you have more
Is
than.
this election day judges?
This is only early voting.
Only early voting.
This is only early voting.
Okay.
Yes. And the early voting officials are just appointed for that particular election, whereas election day judges are appointed for that 2-year term.
And are we getting a lot of people that are interested in returning?
We are starting to contact those. We have had a lot of new applications. We've had some outreach events and some social media posts, and the county's also assisted with that. And I know yesterday Sharon had a printed stack about this thick of people that had sent in an application interested in working, so.
As a judge.
No, just working either early voting or election day.
That's good.
So yes, and then we've had students, we're trying to recruit student assistants this time too, that if they're 17 years old, high school students can also work election day, or we're offering them the opportunity to work after school in the evenings, on that second shift, or on the weekends. So we've had some students interested in that as well.
I had very good students at my selection, but we rotated around, whereas he observed and then sat down and did some work.
So that's going well. We'll give the board those names at the next meeting. I gave you a copy, an example of one of the records requests that we received. Ian and Ms. Donna are in charge of completing those. Ian, how many did we have for last year? Do you recall?
For last year, or you mean last month?
Well, both.
I could not tell you last year off the top of my head. Last month, I believe we had about 9.
So we have, that's a whole nother little task that we have here that the board may not realize that we do. But we get several records requests, especially as it gets closer to the election. And then Ms. Donna receives a lot of requests from candidates who voted, a list of voters, say, like, what are the new voters that registered since the last election in these precincts or in this district, or who voted in the 2022 election. Yeah, she gets a lot of requests like that. And then this one, from attorney, we can get them from civic organizations too, advocacy groups. So that's another thing that we, take care of here.
They similar to what's being requested in this, or are they different?
This one,
This is pretty broad.
yes, this one is pretty broad. This would take some effort to fill. And we had to respond that we didn't have this information yet, that it would be coming later. But a lot of these types of, requests, every county in the state will receive those. That's all I have, except the early voting plan. The state meets on August 20th to consider non-unanimous plans. And our chair's planning to attend, and Ms. Brunette is planning to attend. If the other board members would like to submit comments, you can send those to me by 5 p.m. tomorrow, and I can forward those to the state. Or if any of the public would like to comment as well, there's a link on the state website where you can submit comments for their board to review.
So there's approximately 20 counties that will be at that hearing on the 20th. Union County falls in the first category of 12 counties. Those are counties that there's a disagreement as to days. Then there's 8 other counties that are set for the afternoon that are counties that disagree as to days and precincts opened, or locations. So, I think that the afternoon probably is a more longer each set, but, so I will be there for the 20th, on the 20th, and it's always said this, unfortunately not here today, but, she will be present, she says, on the 20th, so. And of course, other members of the board are more than welcome to
Could we
go.
possibly get a link to that meeting so we could follow along?
Yes,
And-
send that out.
Yeah, I can, and anybody, just go to the state board website, you can go to the events, and any of the upcoming events will have the link on it, so you can go scroll through there. I'm not gonna be able to tell you exactly which buttons to press, but you
And
can
the
go there.
meeting notice, the board, the state will send out a meeting notice as well with the agenda, and it usually has a link on it too. where you can view it.
Can we publish that on our website?
We can.
Facebook page, and that type of thing, that way the public can access it.
I will not be available. Philip will be the director in charge that day if the board has questions. I already have my education schedule.
Questions for the director?
Is actually physically going, or
I'll be available by computer
like
or phone, either way. I've done it in the past, and they may ask a question, or they may not, but.
Okay, well, thank you. Next, staff report, Mr. Legislative update.
So the General Assembly has passed 2 elections-related bills. I'll go over the first one, HB 958. I won't spend too much time on this because the governor has indicated publicly that he will veto this bill, and the legislature does not plan to return to override it or attempt to override it until after this election. And HB 958 is the bill that reduces the early voting period from 17 to 10 days in primaries. Also allows some changes to ballot challenges, and also gives the state auditor authority and requires him to audit a certain number of county elections every year. So, but like I said, that one is going to be vetoed according to the governor, so it will not take effect unless they override it, and the legislators have indicated they're not coming back to do that until after the election. The other one, HB 834, has been signed by the governor and will take effect. And this one has a lot of changes that are going to be beneficial for our office and for all the offices around, and it changes the deadline for provisional ballots as far as our research, and the deadline to cure them, instead of 3 days, it's now 5 days after the election at noon. The deadline to cure absentee ballots is also the 5th day after the election at noon. Failure to sign provisional application or photo ID exception form is now a curable issue in which we can notify the voter and give them the chance to fix that issue. Early votes can be counted on election day between 9 in the morning and 5 o'clock in the evening prior to closing the polls. So the board will actually need to set a date or set a time for that meeting between 9 and 5 where we can close those machines. Previously, that's how it was. And then there was a change in the law, and those machines could not be closed down until 7:30 on election night after closing the polls. But that led to a backup in producing and uploading results to the state. So now they've changed it back to give us the leeway to do that earlier in the day. The deadline for county boards to announce the tally of mail-in absentee ballots, other than those subject to a challenge, and military or overseas ballots, is now no later than the close of business on the 5th day after the election. For in-person voters, the final decision on photo ID exception forms that the board believes may be false must be made by the date of canvass. And for absentee ballots, only ballots transmitted by an authorized returner can be counted. So that's something that if you drop off a absentee ballot in person, you have to sign off a log, and there's only certain individuals that can drop those off per law. And it also extended the expiration date, or it allows licenses that have expired after July 1st, 2025 to be used even if they're expired for more than a year. So it kind of gives that a grace period. That was due to the backup at the DMV and a lot of people not being able to get appointments to have a new license. But those are the major changes that are in HB 834. So this
Is that a 1-year thing, or because of the backup, or does it continue forever?
No, it's I think that expires
December
the
31st.
27. Yeah,
Okay, so it's a limited period.
it's just another year. So those are the major points of that legislation that's passed. And again, the governor signed that one, so it's in effect now.
Any questions for Phil on the legislative update? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, on to voter registration, Ms. Meadows.
Yes, I will be giving the voter registration report for the month of July. As of July 31st, we had a total of 185,016 registrations. 163,762 were active, 21,254 were inactive. Reporting period. In that period, 811 registrations were approved. Total registrations removed, 590. Out of the 590, 75 were inactive registrations. New registrations processed for the month of July was 1,056. Duplicates, meaning that there were no changes on the registrations, 1,019 were processed in July. Changes of information, 838 registrations were processed. Verifications, 1,871 first and second verification mailings were sent. 1,522 NCOA mailings were mailed. That's where the voter changes their address at the post office. 52 first verifications were returned undeliverable. 23 verifications were returned by the voter. Confirmations. 2 confirmations were returned by the voter. 29 confirmations were sent out to the voters. 4 confirmations were returned undeliverable, and 4 confirmations were not returned at all. The county stats by party was the next section. Looks like Republican and unaffiliated voters, so we have more unaffiliated voters now in the county. The stats by race, stats by ethnicity, stats by gender. The next report are the party changes in July. We had 312 party changes. The next report is the statistical, and we're growing, still a growing county. From the last meeting up until the 31st, we gained 461 registrations. And that last report is the national change of address. We mailed out 1,522 on July the 1st. We received so far and processed 288 as of July 31st. 31 was without a forwarding address. 36 were voters that moved to another county within the state. 117 moved from North Carolina. 104 moved within the county, making a total of 288. And I thought that was a pretty good return for the first mail. So hopefully it'll continue and we'll get back, hopefully all of them, but we can only hope. That's all I have. Any questions?
Any questions for Ms. Meadows? Thank you so much. All right, financial update, Ms. Reyes.
Yes, so you should have the year-end report, fiscal year 26. All of our fiscal year 26 invoices have been paid, and the June P-card transactions have been posted to that budget. We used 99.4% of our administration budget and 71.5% of the elections budget. You will see in the elections budget, the majority of the funds that were left behind was from salaries, and that was because of the funds that were not used for a second primary or the Monroe election that we didn't have in November last year. So we stayed under budget for fiscal year 26.
So that's an anomaly basically,
Mhm.
because of the Monroe.
And not having a second primary, yes. You also have copies of fiscal year 27 July budget. We only use 5.4% of the administration budget, and for the elections budget, we use less than 1%. As Kristen mentioned, we didn't receive all of our funding for the salaries. And for the printing and office supplies, we only received half of what we asked for. All of the numbers that you see on the budget reports under the column that's titled revised budget is what we received for fiscal year 27. The column that's titled encumbered, those are some funds that are already set aside for future expenses. For example, the one under printing and office supplies, the county automatically sets aside a certain amount of money that they believe we will use for printing, that we get charged throughout the year for printing. We have already ordered our absentee envelopes and our ballot stock. So we have used $28,936 this month in total for July and August. So that you can see that we're going to be using our printed office supplies very quickly. We still have to order all of our ballots for election day, and then our training manuals. So we may end up visiting the county commissioners asking for additional ones. That's all I have.
The discussions with the county commissioner involve looking at things on line item, or I know they took it out of certain line items, but there's the discussion broadly around 200,000 being taken out. I don't know.
Well, that came from the county manager, so we don't know what was actually told to the commissioners as to what was taken out or what was revised or what was moved. That I don't have that information. I'd like to get that information, but we'll keep efforting to find out. But you know, I'm heartened by the fact that there's at least the openness that we need it, that we can request it. Of course, obviously, that's not a guarantee that we get it, because it's the county commissioners that'll make that vote at the end of the day as to whether they want to allocate more money to us from their budget for the numbers. Rather than stay in there, since we made those assessments, knowing that Monroe wasn't a part of that equation. Assuming that our number had come down because of Monroe.
So don't we already, you're indicating we already know that the 75,000 that they put in for printing and office supplies is not sufficient.
That's
And so should we be, part of my question was, should we be going back to them as soon as possible, like now? Because you can project out, can you not, what your printing costs are gonna be?
Well, I mean, we can project by looking at the history. We went back and saw the history back to 2016, and we've never used less than 100,000 for any of the elections.
We'll have a
municipal
long
election.
ballot, right? We'll have it won't be the 8.5, 11, it'll probably be the 14. So that theoretically costs more in paper costs.
Mhm.
And the ballot, it'll be just two-sided. We won't have, but everything will fit on one piece of paper, front and back,
Front and back, yeah.
with all
So
the,
that includes the bond? reports?
I believe Phillips already,
It should fit on a 14-inch ballot. That's, you know, I made like a kind of a sample mock ballot to see before we ordered what we ordered, to see if we could get it on that, and I believe we should be able to get it on there. That's what we've got, so that's, you know, and the 14-inch paper is made, and, you know, the toner cost goes up as well, because all of that printing, you know, takes up more toner.
That's a lot of words.
So the costs are more for that type of ballot for sure. And we can't control what goes on the ballot. I mean, you know, they've added these amendments and then the jail bond and regular contest. So yeah, it can get, you know, we've had a 17-inch ballot before. This one should be.
That's why you make orders.
Well, there's actually rules and laws governing that. You know, they have to be a certain point in font and spacing. So a lot of that we don't really have control over either. So that's
So the numbers with the negatives in front, that's your shortages now, with the budget up the top, I'm looking at that one, your extended budget, you've already used 100%, so have the commissioners even seen these numbers?
well, those are actually line items that they encumber themselves. I don't know how they came up with the number for gas. So that isn't something that we did here in the office, it was through the county. Yeah, I think I had the director asking me if that was actually, if I entered that number in there incorrectly, but that's what they had on there.
So will they, that's part of my question earlier was, do we have to look at the budget as a whole? Or are we gonna be looking at it on a line item basis? Because we're already, as was just pointed out, we're already negative on one, and haven't even started yet. And we know from projections that we're gonna be negative on printing such.
I'm not sure what the management team is expecting from us, if they want us to wait until we have already encumbered all of the money or used up all of the money for putting in office supplies before we go back and ask for additional funds.
Well, that's my basic question is looking at a line item or
Normally,
In
the
total.
county looks at the bottom line, and we can transfer funds from one line item to another to make up that difference.
Right.
So
So
when
we're not gonna be
when
sitting
we're
there waiting
showing,
for
even though we may be over in that one, in printing and office supplies, we still have money left at one point, say in postage. I don't think they'll give us additional funds. I don't know that, but I would think they would look more at the bottom line.
These line items came from them, not from us.
Well, some of them did, the one for gas, maintenance and repairs, fuel gas, that comes from them. The lease expense, that comes from them. Lease interest, that comes from them also. Yeah, there's several on here that they budget for, and they'll put money in there for those line items.
Is there communication then, obviously in setting the budget and this other conversation we had, but is there ongoing conversations with the county? Or do they see any of these numbers as to where we're at? I mean, if they don't, I would urge that we ought to be sending to the county manager every month the report and showing where we're at. Because we have a strong feeling that we're gonna be short. It seems so, in And the better part of Valor is to keep them informed, not to come to them at the last minute and say, hey, we need an extra 100,000 or whatever the number's gonna be, but just to continually show, hey, we're already negative on one. And
Well,
I-
I know that the previous budget director used to send out some quarterly reports, and they would review those and look over those and let us comment on them also. With the new budget director, I'm not aware if they do that or not.
Yes, at one time, we had quarterly, if we were over in a line item, we had to,
Provide an explanation.
provide an explanation of
Our
why.
explanation is we don't know how you came up with this number in the first place.
Or say you're over like 75% spent and you're only a few months into the fiscal
Yeah.
year, we would also have to explain that to them.
Well, if they haven't requested for sure this, I would think we ought to take the initiative and send it to them so that so he's kept aware of where we're at.
We do that. I think by the end of the month after I put in some more purchase orders for the training manuals, and definitely after we put in the purchase order for the ballots, but we're gonna be at that point where we have to ask for more money or move money from another line item.
They'll probably default to move first and then before they approve additional funding.
What are dues and memberships? What's that for?
There's several of us in the office that belong to associations. So we have to do our renewal every year, those memberships.
So explain to me again why we're already at 100% of the fuel and gas. And it's only,
That's controlled by the county. We don't control that. They set aside that money. I mean, I don't actually have any access to those funds anyway. But they set aside that money for any fuel costs when we rent vehicles also. The fuel that we use for our vehicle here. The one that we're going to get, that'll come out of there also. They'll charge it to that account. Again, I don't know why they encumbered more than what they actually put in for the line item. I imagine they will fund it later in the year, but it's not something that I would move money into.
After you do this last round of, particularly the printing and the ballots and everything else, I would say we ought to make sure that we've made them aware. It's the old process, let's make them aware as soon as possible and not going with trying to get it at the last minute. So that we can say, hey, we've been making you aware of where we're at. So I would urge you to, I don't know whether that ought to come from the chairman here or.
No, I think that's a great idea. I mean, that way they know going in that we're gonna be coming. Look,
I can certainly send an email to the budget director.
I think just as you prepare the numbers for the meetings, you know, you're preparing this report for us. You know, when you send it to us in preparation with the meeting, go ahead and just send it out to them.
Okay.
And you're not doubling your, having to do it, just,
Yeah, I think that's fine. I think it's great.
gonna be in there. Any more questions, administrators?
I don't know, I just think we ought to pray for the quiz again to go down. That's all I'm gonna say.
I know,
And that'll fix everything.
just don't forget your 7-Eleven. I hit that, I've been timing that perfectly recently. Just hope it continues.
I did really good at Costco today.
Okay, so that was, the staff reports, and thank you all for putting those together for us, every month here. Next item on the agenda is to talk about upcoming meetings. I know that we have, a request on the September 8th, is that correct, Frank?
Yes,
So
just to move it to 5 o'clock.
just to move it to 5 p.m. The issue that I saw when we were going through this, when you sent out to the county, you said that we were going to have it at 4. So would you have to just send a revised email?
I will let them know. It will not really change their deadline. It's still the same date. So their recommendations are still due at the same time. I will let them know of the change in time.
So does anybody have an issue with moving the September 8th meeting from 4 o'clock to 5 o'clock? I guess that's what we'll do. I guess we have to vote on it, so. Do I have a motion to move the meeting on September 8th from 4 p.m. start time to 5 p.m. start time?
So moved.
Motion, I have a second.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Okay. The next question was the October 13th meeting. I know I am going to be unavailable on that October 13th. That is a day that we have to have, correct?
Absentee meeting.
Have to have an absentee meeting on that day. It doesn't matter whether it's at 4 or not, is that right? So we can do in the morning if we wanted to. But I don't know what everyone's pleasure is for October 13th meeting. We would do the absentee, and I would suggest we do the monthly meeting at the same time, if that's possible. So whatever time we set, so we're not doubling up on the meeting that day. But I know that I cannot attend in the afternoon. I have a retreat. So Piedmont I have to go to.
And I will be out of town all day, Tuesday the 13th, October 13th.
So we could either set the meeting on that Tuesday for 10 a.m.
So you could come, but not at 4,
Right,
as you're saying?
I can come at 10 a.m.
Yeah, I can come at 10.
So far.
Okay. All right, so do I have a motion to move the October regular meeting as well as the absentee meeting on October 13th, beginning at 10 a.m.?
So,
Okay, do I have a second?
so.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Alright. Then the next is the election day. Can you give a little bit of guidance again on the new rule on election day?
No, we had planned because of this bill and it was just signed yesterday, we did not put on the agenda the resolution to set the absentee meetings. So that will be included. I mean, I don't know, you might want to talk about it and wait until next month to set that time. Because of this new law, we can now close early voting machines between 9 and 5, whereas last election, we had to wait until 7:30. The board still met, I believe, at 5 to do the absentee by mail ballots. And we changed, the board changed the October 13th meeting to 10 a.m. Keep in mind that starting the 5th Tuesday before the election, we have to set a meeting every Tuesday.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you want to set those meetings at 10 o'clock every Tuesday, or if you want to meet at 5 o'clock and just have that one Tuesday at 10. Those are different options because you'll have to
So
meet.
what's the first absentee meeting? Is that 13th?
That'll be September 29th.
Okay.
September 29th is the first absentee meeting.
Right, 1, 2, 3,
You know, that,
the
that's,
fifth Tuesday before.
so September 29th, we can have the absentee meeting at any point during the day. You know, obviously, I leave it up to you all. I'm move things on the calendar, but obviously, I'm the office phone.
Could maybe we look at the dates and have the board look at the dates and then I'm not trying to discourage you from voting now. I don't have a,
Well, I'd like to get Ms. Burnett's
Yeah.
input as well, too.
right,
I don't
That's a
wanna-
good
the dates.
I don't wanna exclude her from this, so.
Because now we have, yes, you'll have those 5 meetings. You will have to meet on election day to count any absentee by mail that come in up until 7:30. You'll have to meet to close the early voting polls. Then we will have 5 days now to process the provisional ballots. So we'll have to schedule another meeting before canvass, after the election, but before canvass, to review those provisional ballots. We don't want to wait until the morning of canvass, in case we don't know how many ballots we'll have or what we
Canvas is
may
on
run
November
into, so
13th.
we'll have to have another meeting then before canvass.
In the past, we've done it on that Friday, but is that too soon?
The Friday of canvass,
No, we've done something on the Friday before canvas.
yes, because now they've extended that deadline to 5 days.
Yes.
Whereas last election, we had to do it that 3rd day after the election. Now we have 5 days to process or research the provisional ballots.
Which will be the Tuesday, the next Tuesday.
Right.
So that makes Tuesday,
But
the campus.
do we have to have that, we have to have them counted on the 5th day? I'm not sure of the exact language in the bill.
Yes.
Counted by the 5th day?
After election day, that's Sunday.
Fifth business
Business
day, I think
day,
it says.
sorry, business day.
Fifth business, which puts it to Monday, puts it to a week later.
Yeah.
Until 5 p.m., but when do we count?
Can you put like a bullet point together for us that you know, kind of gives us so that in the September meeting that we have, that we can kind of
Required, yes, sir.
do everything at that meeting then? And how long, if we're gonna close the early voting machines, and we're allowed to do that anytime between 9 and 5 on election day, you know, what is, obviously earlier in the day to give you guys time to not have that influx come in is better, I'm assuming, right?
Whatever the board chooses, we'll also probably go ahead and do whatever ballots we have up until that point on election day too. I mean, we check mail usually is at the post office around 10 or 10:30 in the morning. To the mail for that day, should be in by that time.
Yeah, if
Or
you
the
don't,
majority of the mail that day, we still could get additional.
if you don't mind providing some kind of like bullet point for us so that, you know, and that way, and also if you would on that, you know, make sure that Ms. Burnett knows about the September date changing and the October date changing, and try to let her know when I see her on next week anyways. But yeah, if you can do that, and we can all have an idea and digest it and put it in our calendars. I know Ms. Powers would appreciate as much foresight as possible, and I apologize for that change to today's meeting. Thank you. Okay. So we'll plan at the next meeting in September to kind of set out the dates and times for our canvas, absentee dates, other meetings coming up through election. Thoughts was too in December last year. We didn't have a meeting December last year, so that's also a thought to get ahead of the game, give everybody a little bit of a, at least staff, a little time off in December from that meeting. So, all right, is there anything else for the good of the order? Hearing none, can I have a motion to adjourn? Do I have a second? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you, everybody. Good night.